Hi everyone, in this video we're going to take a look at some of the updates for the new responsive designer for Nintex Forms for Office 365. So the first thing we want to take a look at is the changes to the lookup function. So if we come across to variables, you can see I've got a couple of variables that were previously doing lookups, and what I've actually done is some of the data I was looking up, I've actually moved it to a different site collection. So if I just tab across here, this is my processed fest site, and this has got a bunch of projects that I might be running. So and this is actually the team site. So if we open that up, it's actually a different site. So we've got the team site here, we've got process fest site, and here's my designer. So now that the data's moved to a different site collection, this lookup function cannot actually get that data. However, with the new change, what we can do is we can actually specify, doing a comma delimiter, pasting in the server relative path, we can actually go and get that data from a different site collection now. So this brings the lookup control and the lookup function in line with each other. So if you're doing a choice, selecting a choice from a lookup control from a different site collection, you can get the past lookup to get the ID of the value, and also do the lookup function to get some other property as well. So I'm going to update that one, and I'll update this one as well. I'll just show you what this looks like. So if we come back here and we go to lookup, and it's all explained in the help here, but basically same properties exist, except now we have server relative path, and you also have the ability to do an array separator. So if you're pulling back something like a multi-choice selection, and in that selection it might have commas in a name, and you don't want to have commas in as the delimiter, because then you might be separating on someone's name. So you might put a hash semicolon or something like that to separate those values, and then you can do something with that. So it's got the server relative URL and also the array separator as well, so you can see an example here. So now we've got that up to date, go back to the designer, and we're going to select here. So I've already got these two variables being input through a rule here. So set fields is going to set up these variables through here, and then if we go to the designer, go and put the state there, and we're going to say project manager. Okay, so now if we go publish and go to our team site and go to hazard report, hopefully that form is published. Okay, we're ready to go. So clicking on new, when I make a selection from the choice control, that is actually selecting something from a different site collection. So it's going to my so this is my team site, and I'm going to a different site collection for my data. So if I select Village Lane, that's going to go to Village Lane here in a separate site collection. When I select it, it's going to get Quentin Scroggs as the project manager and the state of Wisconsin. So let's see if that actually works. So I select Village Lane, and what you'll see, the state has been populated with Wisconsin, and project manager is Quentin Scroggs. So now the lookup control and the lookup function do exactly the same thing. They can query across any site collection within your tenant. Now jumping back to the designer, another thing you might have noticed when I was actually building that variable was we now have the ability to recalculate the variable in the following modes. Now what that means is, you might say, let's do an example. So I've got date of inspection. Now if I was to put in here something like oops, I've done that wrong. Context. Oh, that won't work. Let's go and create a variable. I don't have one yet. Insert and create a variable, and we'll say current date time. So current date time, and we say context current date and time. There we go. So now I've got that, and I need to put that as a date and time. So what's going to happen is it's going to get me the current date and time when I open the form as a new form, when I go and edit the data in the edit form, and also when I actually display it. So let's go and create and insert that. Now I'm going to publish that. Go across to our form. Give it a couple of seconds. We'll press refresh. Okay, so we can see here the dates come through, and we could probably format this a bit better actually, so we can probably go back and do that. Let's do that. So go back to our variable and current date and time. If I want to format that, I can come into date, and you'll see a bunch of things we can. So So format date, so I can say come here and do format date, and if I click on here, it's going to tell me how to use it. So you put in your format date, so end date would be the variable that you've got. So if you come through here and delete these, you're passing in that variable that we've got, and then we put a comma, and we can put in the format that we want. So we just want something simple: dd mm y, one more, there we go. And then we have to create that as a string, I've just realized, because we're converting it from a date time to a string. So let's copy that, cancel that, and let's say create variable date now as string. Paste that in there, and now it's, oh, is that the issue before? Anyway, that should be right because it's now a text variable. So go and create and insert, and we'll go back to designer, and we'll change this one. Date time is string. Where do I put it? Or was it date time is string? There we go. Date now is string. So now let's go and publish that again. Okay, and we'll jump across to our form and we'll refresh. Okay, so that's a bit easier to read. So we can see it's the 5th of the 12th, 2019. So probably could bold that as well to make it a little bit nicer. But so you can see here, it's actually got that, oh, I've just realized we need the time as well. Because what I want to show is when does it get recalculated. So we do actually need the time. So let's go back to our form. Whoops, wrong one. Let's say, change our variable. Don't get it right every time, but I try to. Date now is string. Let's get rid of that one. It's less confusing. And say, format date, syntax is HN. So then we'll say, we'll just keep it as HMM. Don't really need that AMPM. So let's see what that does. Let's go to designer and publish. Across to here and refresh. That's published by now. Okay, so we can see 356. So saying 356 probably because my computer's running the wrong time. So we can say 356. Now, if we give that a couple of moments, if I was to publish and save this, it's always going to say 356. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click through this form. So just coming back here, 356. So if I take a bit of time to fill out my form, and let's go to admin and submit. Got my go. So 356, submit. Now every time I go and open that form again, it's always going to say 356, 357, whatever it might be. So every time the time changes, I forgot to put a title in this on this list item. So if I open it up again, the next minute would have passed and it's going to say 357. So that's gone and recalculated, and it's like, well, I didn't do the inspection a minute ago or a day ago or a month ago. I only need it to be calculating this field when it was first submitted. So we get around this by coming here and going to the variable, and we say variables, edit. So I want to say only on new, recalculate it, not on edit, not on display. So we go and update that, republish. Okay, so come back here. Now, I haven't resubmitted this, so it should still say 356. And it's not going to recalculate, it's going to take from the time that I last published it. So there you go there. So now it's not actually republishing, it's not recalculating. So these are good things for things like, if you wanted to get the current user, so let's go back and do that as well. So let's say current user. Let's just bold that so it makes it, we say inspected by, and bold that, and I'm going to say insert, and let's create a new variable, inspection performed by, and we say context dot current user's display name will do. Now, again, I only ever want it to be on new, so I can go and put that in there, so I'll publish that, and we don't want that bold either, so let's go back and unbold that. Go. Publish. Now, I've just realized if I've submitted that before, did it get my current? Will it get my logged in name when I submitted that item? Let's see what happens. So it hasn't got that variable yet, so it doesn't appear. So I would have to go back and raise a new one. So let's go back and raise a new one, because the new variable so wouldn't have got that that piece of data, and it's not going to recalculate it because it only recalculates on new mode, so it's never going to get my details. Okay, so opening the form, this is going to calculate the current date and time. It's going to find that it's been inspected by me, and I'm going to select Farmco Circle, and now it's filled it all out, so I can press submit. So I hope that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful to you. You now see that you've got recalculate variables on form modes, and you've also got the ability to do lookup functions across site collections within your tenant. Hope that's useful to you. Let me know in the comments. Cheers.